I picked up my phone with a smile. My son Daniel was getting married in 3 months, and I wanted to offer our family property for the ceremony. The backyard we'd spent years perfecting. The garden where Daniel took his first steps. "Hi, sweetheart," I said when Cassandra answered. "I was thinking about the wedding and, oh, that's so sweet, Eleanor." Her voice was light, almost dismissive. "But we actually got married yesterday. Just a small celebration, very intimate." The words hit me like cold water. Yesterday, my son got married yesterday, and I wasn't there. I didn't know," I managed, gripping the phone tighter. "Yeah, it was super last minute. You know how it is. Anyway, I've got to run. Lunch date. Bye." The line went dead. I stood in my kitchen, staring at nothing. Robert walked in, saw my face, and immediately knew something was wrong. "They got married," I whispered. "Yesterday. We weren't invited." He didn't say anything, just pulled me close while I tried to process what had just happened. For the next week, I waited for Daniel to call, to explain, to apologize. Something. Silence. Robert and I went through the motions. I baked bread I didn't eat. He worked in the garage on projects he didn't finish. We didn't talk about it much. What was there to say? Our only son had erased us from the most important day of his life. Then, 7 days later, my phone rang. Daniel. "Hey, Mom." His voice sounded strained, tired. "Daniel." I kept my tone neutral. "How are you?" "Mom, we need to talk. Can I be honest with you?" My heart started pounding. "Of course. We spent everything on the wedding, like everything. And now rent is due, car payment, credit cards are maxed out. We're in a really bad spot." I closed my eyes. Here it comes. "Cassandra went through the list," he continued, words tumbling out faster now. "Everyone gave us gifts. Her family, friends, even people we barely know. Everyone gave $5, $10, sometimes $15,000. Mom, you're literally the only one who didn't give us anything." The audacity of it took my breath away. "I wasn't invited, Daniel." I know, but you're still my mom. We really need help. You're all we have left." I heard Cassandra's voice in the background, sharp and insistent, though I couldn't make out the words. Something crystallized in that moment. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a miscommunication. This was a plan. "Daniel," I said slowly, my voice calm in a way that surprised even me. "I'll give you something." "Really? Mom, thank you. Come over Sunday, bring Cassandra. We'll have dinner, as a family." There was a pause. Okay, yeah. What time?" 6 o'clock. Don't be late." After we hung up, Robert looked at me with raised eyebrows. "You're going to help them? After what they did?" I smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "Oh, I'm going to give them something, all right. But first, I need to make some calls." "What kind of calls?" "The kind that find out the truth." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying Cassandra's voice. So casual, so dismissive, like I was a stranger, not her husband's mother, like the wedding was a business transaction, not a sacred moment. At 2 a.m, I got out of bed and opened my laptop. I typed Cassandra Whitmore wedding into the search bar, and there it was, Instagram, post after post. A wedding that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Napa Valley, sunset ceremony overlooking vineyards, designer everything, bridesmaids in custom gowns, a flower arch that probably cost more than our car, 150 people. I scrolled through the comments. "Best wedding I've ever been to. Thank you for the experience of a lifetime. Goals, absolutely goals." Not one single photo included Robert or me, not in the background, not in the tags, nowhere. We had been completely erased. If you've ever been excluded by family, if you know what betrayal feels like, hit that like button. You'll understand why what I did next was necessary. I kept scrolling, found the wedding website, Cassandra and Daniel's story, written like a fairy tale. How they met, how he proposed, the journey to their perfect day. Not one mention of Daniel's family. But here's what caught my attention. At the bottom of the site, in small text, special thanks to our sponsors and partners who made this day possible. Sponsors. Who has sponsors at a wedding? I clicked the link. It led to a page with luxury brand logos, champagne companies, floral designers, a boutique hotel, and at the bottom, for wedding planning consultations and brand partnership opportunities, contact Cassandra Whitmore Consulting. My blood ran cold. She wasn't just having a wedding, she was building a portfolio. The next morning, I called my sister Janet. She's a paralegal, the kind of person who notices details everyone else misses. Eleanor, hi, how are you holding up after, Janet, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Of course. What is it? Did Daniel ever come to see you about loan documents? The silence on the other end told me everything. Janet? Oh God, he asked me not to tell you, said it was a surprise. My hand started shaking. What loan documents? About 3 months ago, Daniel came by my office, said you and Robert were co-signing a personal loan for $50,000 for wedding expenses. I told him to use a real lawyer, not to do family business informally, but he said you'd already agreed and just needed me to notarize signatures. We never agreed to anything. I know that now. That's why I wouldn't notarize without seeing you in person. He got upset and left. Eleanor, I should have called you right away. I'm so sorry. After we hung up, I sat very still. $50,000 in our name, without our knowledge. Robert came in from the garage, took one look at my face, and sat down. What did you find? I told him everything. The Instagram posts, the sponsors, the loan documents. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood up, walked to his office, and came back with our laptop. Let's check our credit reports, he said. It took 20 minutes to pull them up. And there it was. An application for a personal loan. $50,000. In my name and Robert's name. Filed 2.5 months ago. Denied due to insufficient income verification. But someone had tried. Someone had filled out applications with our social security numbers, our address, our financial information. Robert's jaw was tight. He tried to take out a loan in our names. Or someone did, I said quietly. We kept digging. Robert found something else in his email. Spam folder. A message from 3 months ago. A request for income verification from a financial services company. He deleted it thinking it was phishing. It wasn't. It was real. Someone had been building a case to use our credit, our home, our entire financial life as collateral. Sunday can't come fast enough, I said. But Sunday was still 4 days away, and I needed answers before then. I called my friend Patricia. She's a wedding planner, been in the business 30 years. If anyone would know about Cassandra's operation, it would be her. Patricia, this is Eleanor Hayes. I need to ask you about something, and I need you to be discreet. Eleanor, I heard about Daniel's wedding. I'm so sorry you weren't... Do you know anything about Cassandra Whitmore's wedding consulting business? Patricia's tone shifted immediately. Oh, you found out about that. Tell me everything. What Patricia told me made my stomach turn. Cassandra had been selling wedding planning packages for $5,000 each. The pitch was simple. Learn how she planned her luxury wedding on a budget. She was using Daniel's wedding as proof of concept, showing potential clients the photos, the vendor lists, the timeline. But here's the thing. She was lying about the budget. She told clients she'd done the whole wedding for $40,000, told them her secrets for getting designer vendors at discount prices, told them her family connections made it all possible. The real cost? Over $120,000. She's scamming people, Patricia said. I've had 3 brides come to me in tears after buying her package. The advice doesn't work. The vendors she recommends don't exist or charge triple what she claimed. One bride is considering legal action. Patricia, I need you to do me a favor. Anything. I need documentation. Anything you have. Screenshots, testimonials, contracts, whatever you can find. Consider it done. Eleanor, what are you planning? I smiled into the phone. I'm planning to give my son and his wife a gift they'll never forget. The next 2 days were a blur of investigation. Robert called his brother, James, a forensic accountant. I called Janet back and asked her to pull every legal document she could find with Daniel's signature on it. By Friday night, we had a file, a thick, damning file. Bank records showing Daniel had maxed out 4 credit cards, loan applications with our information on them, screenshots of Cassandra's consulting business using fake budget numbers, testimonials from angry brides, messages from a private Facebook group where Cassandra bragged about her hustle. And then James found something that made everything click into place. Eleanor, Robert, you need to see this. We huddled around his laptop. He pulled up a business registration document. Cassandra's Wedding Consulting, LLC. It's registered under her mother's name, Veronica Whitmore, and look at the business address. It was a P.O. box in a strip mall bankruptcy services office. Now look at this. James pulled up another document. Veronica Whitmore filed for bankruptcy 2 years ago, personal bankruptcy. She lost everything in a bad investment. But here's where it gets interesting. He showed us a court filing. Veronica owed money to private lenders, not banks, private lenders, the kind of people who don't forgive debt. They've been getting calls for months, James continued. Threats, demands for payment. The wedding consulting business, it's not about building a brand, it's about survival. They needed cash flow, fast. Robert leaned back in his chair. So they targeted Daniel. Not just Daniel, I said quietly. They targeted us. Our credit, our home, our savings. We were the real prize. Everything made sense now. The exclusion from the wedding wasn't personal. It was strategic. They couldn't risk us being present, asking questions, seeing through the facade. We were the bank they planned to rob. Saturday morning, I made one more call. Daniel, it's Mom. I just wanted to confirm. Tomorrow at 6, right? Yeah, Mom. We'll be there. Should we bring anything? Just yourselves. Oh, and Daniel? Can you ask Cassandra if she minds if I invite a few other people? Just some family and friends. Nothing big. Sure. Let me ask. I heard muffled conversation. Then Daniel came back on. She says that's fine. Who's coming? Just Aunt Janet and Patricia and Uncle James. You know, people who love you. Okay, cool. Mom. Thank you for doing this. Of course, sweetheart. I promised you a gift, didn't I? After we hung up, Robert looked at me. You sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Sunday arrived with perfect weather, clear skies, gentle breeze, the kind of day that feels like possibility. I spent the morning cooking, roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans from the garden, apple pie cooling on the counter. The house smelled like home, like every family dinner we'd ever had when Daniel was growing up. At 5:30, Janet arrived, then Patricia, then James. We gathered in the kitchen, and I showed them the gift box on the counter. Silver wrapping paper, navy blue ribbon. Everything ready? Janet asked. I nodded. Everything. At exactly 6 o'clock, the doorbell rang. Robert answered it. Daniel stood there, looking uncomfortable in khakis and a button-down. Cassandra beside him, perfect in a cream sundress, her hair in a glossy ponytail. Mom! Daniel hugged me, tight, like he used to when he was little. Cassandra air-kissed near my cheek, her smile practiced. Eleanor, this is so nice of you. We moved into the dining room. The table was set beautifully, candles glowing, my grandmother's china laid out. Daniel's eyes widened when he saw the other guests. Oh, I didn't realize. Just family, I said warmly. Janet, you remember my sister, and Patricia, my dear friend, and James, your Uncle James. Cassandra's smile faltered slightly, but she recovered. Lovely to see everyone. We sat. I served dinner. Conversation flowed, surface level and pleasant. The weather, the neighborhood, careful avoidance of the obvious topic. Finally, dessert was cleared and I stood. Before we finish tonight, I wanted to give Daniel and Cassandra their wedding gift. I brought out the silver box and placed it on the table between them. Daniel smiled, relieved. Mom, you didn't have to. Oh, but I did. I promised you something, didn't I? Cassandra's eyes gleamed as she looked at the box, probably calculating how much a box that size might contain. A check? Jewelry? Bearer bonds? Open it, I said gently. Daniel reached for the ribbon, pulled it free, lifted the lid. Inside was a USB drive, a stack of printed documents, and a sealed envelope. His smile faded. Mom, what is this? Your gift, I said, my voice steady. I picked up the USB drive and held it up. This contains everything you need to know about your marriage, about the business you've entered into without realizing it. Cassandra's face went pale. I don't know what you think you... Let me show you. I walked to the laptop James had set up on the sideboard, plugged in the drive. The screen came to life. Screenshots filled the display. Messages. Lots of messages. Cassandra to her business partner. The Hayes family is loaded, sitting on home equity they never use. Daniel says his mom would do anything for him. We just need to play this right. Another message, dated 2 months before the wedding. Keep Daniel's parents out of the planning. The less they know, the easier this will be. Once we're married, they'll have to help. Family obligation and all that. Daniel stared at the screen, his face draining of color. Cassie, what is this? I clicked to the next file. Her wedding consulting website. The one promising luxury weddings for $40,000, using her own wedding as the example. Except your wedding didn't cost $40,000, did it? I said quietly. It cost $120,000, and you're selling false information to desperate brides. Patricia spoke up, her voice firm. I have 3 clients who paid Cassandra $5,000 each for consulting packages. All 3 came to me in tears. The advice was worthless. The vendors didn't exist. One bride is pursuing legal action for fraud. Cassandra shot to her feet. This is insane. You're just jealous that I gave Daniel a better life than you ever could. Sit down, Janet said. It wasn't a request. Because we're just getting started. James opened his folder. Let's talk about the loan applications, the ones filed in Eleanor and Robert's names, without their knowledge, without their consent. He slid papers across the table. Daniel picked one up with shaking hands. That's your signature, James continued, on a co-signer application, listing your parents as guarantors for a $50,000 personal loan. Except your parents never signed anything, never agreed to anything. That's called fraud, Daniel, and identity theft. Daniel looked at me, his eyes filling with tears. Mom, I thought... What did you think? I asked gently. Cassie said it was normal, that her family did it all the time, that parents always help with weddings. She said you'd be honored to co-sign once we explained it was for our future. We never saw the papers, sweetheart. He turned to Cassandra, who was standing rigid, her jaw clenched. You said my parents agreed. You said they just needed time to get the documents in order. They would have agreed, she snapped, if they actually cared about your happiness. Don't. Robert's voice cut through the room like a blade. Don't you dare make this about love. You excluded us from the wedding. You tried to steal our financial identity. You used our son as a bridge to rob us blind. Janet pulled out another document. Daniel, did you sign power of attorney papers, giving anyone access to your parents' accounts? No, I would never. Look at this. Janet showed him a form. This was filed with First Southern Bank 2 months ago. It lists you as executor of your parents' estate, with power of attorney for financial decisions. Daniel's hands trembled as he examined it. That's not my signature. I mean, it looks like it, but I never signed this. Electronic signature, James said. Easy to fake if you have access to someone's email or previous signed documents. The bank rejected it because they required in-person verification, but someone tried. The room was silent except for the ticking of the clock on the mantel. I pulled out the next file. Here's what I find most interesting. Your mother-in-law, Veronica Whitmore. She filed for bankruptcy 2 years ago, lost everything in a crypto investment scheme, and now she's being pursued by private lenders, the kind of people who don't take no for an answer. Cassandra's mask finally cracked. You don't understand. You don't know what it's like to lose everything, to have people threatening you every single day. So you decided to threaten us instead? I asked. We weren't threatening you. We just needed help, and you people with your stable little life, your paid-off house, your comfortable retirement, you have no idea what desperation feels like. You're right, I said softly. I don't know what it's like to scam innocent people, to manipulate my own husband, to exclude his parents from his wedding as part of a financial scheme. You're right, Cassandra. I don't understand that at all. Daniel stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. Mom, Dad, I swear I didn't know. I thought we were just doing normal wedding stuff. Cassie handled all the finances, all the planning. She said her family had connections, that they were taking care of things. Did you sign documents without reading them? James asked. Daniel's silence was answer enough. Son, Robert said, his voice heavy, did you know about the wedding consulting business? Yeah. Cassie said it was a side project, using our wedding as inspiration to help other couples. I thought it was sweet. Did you know she was lying about the costs? Scamming clients? Daniel looked at Cassandra, and I saw the moment his world shifted, the realization blooming across his face like a stain. You told me it cost $40,000, he whispered. You said your parents paid for most of it. You said we were being smart with money. Cassandra's voice turned sharp. We would have been fine if your parents had just helped like they were supposed to, if they'd given us the wedding gift normal parents give. But no, they had to be difficult, had to ask questions. We weren't invited. I stood now, my voice rising for the first time. You got married without us. You erased us from the entire event, and then you had the audacity to demand money because we didn't give a gift to a wedding we weren't allowed to attend. You wouldn't have fit, Cassandra screamed. Your old-fashioned clothes, your small-town mentality, your embarrassing stories about Daniel's childhood. You would have ruined the aesthetic. Do you understand? The whole wedding was a content opportunity, and you would have destroyed it. The room went dead silent. Daniel stared at his wife like he'd never seen her before. Content opportunity, he repeated slowly. Our wedding, the most important day of our lives, was a content opportunity. Cassandra seemed to realize what she'd said. Daniel, baby, I didn't mean it like that. I just meant that your social media following was more important than my family. That making money was more important than my mother being there. Daniel, please, get out. Cassandra froze. What? Get out of my parents' house. You're being ridiculous. We're married. We're supposed to be a team. Daniel's laugh was broken, bitter. A team? You've been playing me from the start. Using me. Using my parents. For what? For Instagram likes? For money to pay your mother's debts? He pulled off his wedding ring, set it on the table. The gesture was so final, so devastating, that even Cassandra seemed to understand. Her face contorted with rage. You're going to regret this. My mother has lawyers. We'll sue you for everything. Janet smiled. Please do. I would love to present all of this evidence in court. Fraud, identity theft, conspiracy to commit wire fraud. By all means, let's make this public. Cassandra grabbed her purse, her hands shaking with fury. You're all going to pay for this, every single one of you. She stormed out. The front door slammed hard enough to rattle the windows. Daniel slumped back into his chair, his head in his hands. Nobody spoke. We let him sit with it, with the weight of what he'd just learned, what he'd just lost. Finally, he looked up at me. His eyes were red, devastated. Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I almost destroyed you. I almost let her destroy everything you've built. I moved around the table and knelt beside his chair. took his hands in mine. "Daniel, look at me." He did, tears streaming down his face. "You were manipulated, lied to, used. That doesn't make it okay, but it means we can fix this. Together." "How? How can you even stand to look at me after what I did?" "Because you're my son, and because when you saw the truth, you chose the right side. That matters, Daniel. That matters more than you know." Robert came over, put his hand on Daniel's shoulder. "We're going to get through this, but we need to be smart." James cleared his throat. "Daniel, legally, you're in a complicated position. Your name is on some of these documents. You signed things without reading them. That makes you liable, even if you didn't understand what you were signing." "I don't care about legal liability. I deserve whatever happens." "Actually," Janet said carefully, "you might not be as trapped as you think. If we can prove coercion, if we can show that Cassandra systematically deceived you and isolated you from your family as part of a fraud scheme, we can make a case that you were a victim too." Daniel shook his head. "But I signed the credit card applications. I maxed them out. That's on me." "For a wedding you thought cost $40,000, I said. "A wedding where your wife was lying to you about every single expense. Daniel, she used you, your trust, your love, your name. She used all of it." Patricia leaned forward. "I need to tell you something else. One of the brides who hired Cassandra for consulting, she told me Cassandra said she'd done this before, that this was her third engagement. The first two ended when the families figured out the scam." Daniel's head snapped up. "What?" "She has a pattern. Find a man with a stable family, love bomb him, push for a quick engagement, stage an expensive wedding as a business investment, extract money from the family. When it falls apart, move on to the next one." "You're telling me she's done this before? To other people?" Patricia nodded. "I'm working on tracking down the previous families. If they're willing to testify, we have a much stronger case that this was premeditated fraud, not a failed marriage." Daniel stood and walked to the window, staring out at the darkening sky. His shoulders shook. I wanted to go to him, to hold him like I did when he was small and the world seemed too big and scary. But he needed to process this, to really understand what had happened. After a long moment, he turned back to us. "What do I do now?" I picked up the silver box and removed the envelope I hadn't yet shown him. "This is the real gift, Daniel, the one I always planned to give you." I opened it and pulled out two smaller envelopes. "This one," I held up the first, "contains divorce papers, pre-filled, legal consultation already paid for. Annulment might be possible given the fraud. Your credit can be saved. The debts can be discharged. You can have a fresh start." He stared at it like it might bite him. "And this one," I held up the second envelope, "contains information for marriage counseling, financial planning, and a debt consolidation program. If you think there's anything real in your marriage, if Cassandra is willing to come clean and change, we'll help, but only if she admits what she's done and enters therapy for her behavior." Daniel took both envelopes with shaking hands. "You prepared for both outcomes." "I'm your mother. I prepare for everything." He looked at the envelopes for a long moment. Then he opened the first one, pulled out the legal papers. "This is what I have to do, isn't it? There's no fixing this. I can't make that choice for you, sweetheart, but I can tell you this. A marriage built on lies can't become true just because you want it to. The foundation is rotten, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away." He nodded slowly, set the second envelope on the table unopened. "I'll call the lawyer tomorrow." Robert pulled him into a hug, and Daniel broke down completely, sobbing like a child, grieving the marriage he thought he had, the wife he thought he knew, the future he'd imagined. We let him cry. There was nothing else to do. Later, after Patricia and James left, after Janet hugged us all and made Daniel promise to call her in the morning, we sat together in the living room. Daniel on the couch, small and broken, Robert and I on either side of him. "I have to ask," Daniel said quietly. "The wedding. Was any of it real? Did she ever actually love me? I chose my words carefully. I think Cassandra loves the idea of security, of stability, and I think she saw those things in you. But real love, Daniel, real love doesn't manipulate. It doesn't exclude your family and try to steal from them. Whatever she felt, it wasn't strong enough to make her choose the right thing. I'm so stupid. You're not stupid. You're trusting. There's a difference. I let her poison me against you. She kept saying you were old-fashioned, that you didn't understand modern relationships, that you'd try to control us. And I believed her. Robert spoke up. She isolated you. Classic manipulation tactic. Make you think your family doesn't understand, doesn't support you. That way, when she asks you to do something questionable, you have no one to check with. No one to say, wait, this doesn't seem right. How did I not see it? Because you were in love, I said simply, and people in love want to believe the best in their partner. That's not a weakness, Daniel. That's human. He leaned his head on my shoulder, just like he used to when he was small and needed comfort. Can I stay here tonight? I can't go back to the apartment. Not yet. You can stay as long as you need. We sat in comfortable silence as the clock chimed 9. Outside, crickets sang their summer song. The world kept turning, indifferent to our small tragedy. But we were together, and that, I realized, was what mattered most. The gift I'd really given my son wasn't the truth about Cassandra. It was the reminder that he had a family who would always tell him the truth, even when it hurt, who would catch him when he fell, who would help him rebuild. That was worth more than any wedding, any Instagram post, any carefully curated image of perfection. As Daniel dozed off on my shoulder, I looked at Robert. He squeezed my hand. We'd survived. 6 weeks later, I stood at the kitchen sink washing breakfast dishes, watching the morning light paint gold across the backyard. Daniel had moved back home temporarily, and the house had settled into a new rhythm. Coffee at 7. Quiet breakfasts, him leaving for work, coming home tired but lighter somehow. Like a weight was slowly lifting. The annulment proceedings had started. Cassandra hadn't fought it, which surprised us all. She'd simply signed the papers and disappeared back to her mother's house. The social media empire had crumbled overnight. Once the fraud allegations went public, sponsors dropped her. Followers vanished. The wedding consulting website went dark. Her Instagram account, once bursting with curated perfection, was deleted entirely. Patricia had found 2 other men, 2 other families who'd been through almost identical experiences with Cassandra. Different names, different cities, same pattern. She wasn't just a scammer. She was a professional. The doorbell rang, pulling me from my thoughts. I dried my hands and went to answer it. A courier stood there with a thick envelope. Eleanor Hayes? That's me. He had me sign, then left. I turned the envelope over in my hands. Law offices of Morrison and Chen, our attorneys. Inside was a letter and a stack of documents. Mrs. Hayes, we've uncovered something you need to see immediately. During discovery, we obtained Cassandra's personal effects from the marital residence. Among them was a sealed letter addressed to you, dated 2 months before the wedding. We've included a copy here. My hands trembled as I pulled out the photocopy. The handwriting was Cassandra's, but messier than usual, less controlled. Dear Eleanor, I know you don't think I'm good enough for Daniel. Maybe you're right, but I need you to understand something. My parents aren't who they pretend to be, my mother especially. If you ever read this, please watch out for Daniel. He doesn't see what I see. He doesn't know what they're capable of. I'm sorry for everything that's going to happen. I wanted to stop it, but I don't know how. They'll destroy me if I don't go along with it. Please don't hate your son. None of this is his fault. Cassandra. I read it 3 times, my mind reeling. She'd known. She'd known it was wrong. And she'd tried to warn me. But then why go through with it? Robert came in from the garage, saw my face, and immediately crossed to me. What is it? I handed him the letter without a word. He read it slowly, his expression darkening. So she was being coerced. Or she's trying to manipulate us even now, making herself look like a victim. Eleanor, this was written 2 months before the wedding, before anything fell apart. Why would she write this, if not because she actually felt trapped? I sank into a kitchen chair. I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore. That evening, Daniel came home from work and found us in the living room, the letter on the coffee table between us. "What's this?" he asked. "Sit down, sweetheart." He read the letter, his face going pale. She wrote this? Before the wedding? According to our lawyers, they found it in a box of her things, sealed, addressed to me. Why didn't she send it? That's what we're trying to figure out. Daniel was quiet for a long moment, staring at the letter. Her mother, Veronica. I always thought she was just intense, but Cassie was terrified of her. There were times when Veronica would call and Cassie would just shut down, stop talking, do whatever her mother told her to. "Did she ever tell you why?" Robert asked. "No, but I heard them arguing once. Cassie was crying, saying she couldn't do it anymore, that it wasn't right. And Veronica said, 'You'll do what you're told unless you want to end up like your sister.'" I leaned forward. Her sister? She never mentioned a sister. Yeah, that's what I thought. When I asked Cassie about it later, she said she didn't have a sister, that I must have heard wrong. Robert and I exchanged glances. "James," I said. "We need to call James." Our forensic accountant brother-in-law answered on the second ring. When I explained about the letter and the mention of a sister, he went quiet. "Give me 2 hours. I'll call you back." Exactly 2 hours later, my phone rang. Eleanor, I found her. Veronica Whitmore had another daughter, Melissa. She died 3 years ago. My breath caught. How? Officially, suicide. But there was an investigation. Melissa had tried to leave her mother's business schemes, wanted to go straight, get a real job. Veronica was furious, threatened to ruin her reputation, destroy her credit, make sure she could never work anywhere. 2 weeks later, Melissa overdosed on sleeping pills. Oh my God. The investigation found evidence Veronica had been controlling every aspect of Melissa's life. Financial abuse, emotional abuse, coercive control. But they couldn't prove Veronica directly caused the suicide. The case was closed. And Cassandra watched all of this happen. Cassandra was 19 when her sister died. By all accounts, they were close. After Melissa's death, Cassandra became completely compliant. Did everything Veronica asked. No pushback, no resistance. I closed my eyes, the pieces falling into place. She was scared. Scared if she didn't obey, she'd end up like Melissa. That would be my assessment. After we hung up, I looked at Daniel and Robert. We've been fighting the wrong enemy. What do you mean? Daniel asked. Cassandra is a victim too. A victim who made terrible choices, who hurt people, who broke the law. But she didn't start this. Veronica did. Robert frowned. So what do we do? I stood and walked to the window, thinking. We give Cassandra the same choice we gave Daniel, the truth and a way out. Mom, she tried to destroy us. I know, but she also tried to warn us. That letter? She knew what was coming, and some part of her wanted to stop it. Maybe that part is still there. The next morning, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called Cassandra. The phone rang 4 times. I almost hung up. Then she answered. Hello? Her voice was small, uncertain. Cassandra, it's Eleanor Hayes. Silence. Long enough that I thought she'd hung up. I'm sorry, she whispered finally. I'm so sorry for everything. I know about Melissa. Her sharp intake of breath told me everything. I know about your mother, about what she did to your sister, about how scared you are. You don't understand. You can't possibly. Then help me understand. Meet me. Just you and me. Somewhere public. Let's talk. Why would you want to talk to me? Because I read your letter, the one you wrote before the wedding, and I think you deserve a chance to tell your side of the story." Another long silence. "Tomorrow, the coffee shop on Maple Street, 10 in the morning. I'll be there." I arrived early, chose a table near the back, ordered 2 coffees, waited. At exactly 10 o'clock, Cassandra walked in. She looked different, smaller somehow. Her designer clothes replaced with jeans and a simple sweater. No makeup, hair in a messy ponytail. She looked like a scared college kid, not the polished influencer who'd excluded us from the wedding. She sat across from me, hands wrapped around the coffee cup I slid toward her. "Thank you for coming," I said. She laughed, but it was bitter. "I didn't think I'd ever see you again. Thought you'd be happy I was out of your lives." "I'm not happy about any of this, Cassandra, but I'm trying to understand." Her eyes filled with tears. "There's nothing to understand. I'm a terrible person. I did terrible things. You should hate me. Tell me about Melissa." The tears spilled over. She was my best friend, my big sister, the only person who ever protected me from my mother. What happened? Cassandra's story came out in broken pieces. How Veronica had controlled every aspect of their lives since they were children. How she'd trained them to scout out wealthy families, to befriend their children, to work their way into their trust. Melissa had been engaged twice before. Both times, Veronica had orchestrated schemes to extract money from the families. But after the second time, Melissa broke, said she couldn't do it anymore, couldn't live with the guilt. She tried to leave, got her own apartment, started applying for jobs. But my mother, she destroyed her, called all her references, told lies about her, ruined her credit. Within a month, Melissa had nothing. No job, no money, evicted from her apartment. And then my mother told her she could come home, that all was forgiven, that they could start fresh. Melissa was so broken down she believed her. She moved back in. Cassandra's hands shook as she continued. 2 weeks later, I found her. Sleeping pills. So many sleeping pills. The bottle was on the nightstand with a note. "I'm sorry, Mom. I couldn't be what you wanted." Oh, Cassandra. The worst part? I knew my mother had driven her to it. All the guilt, all the shame, all the control. It broke her, and I didn't do anything to stop it. I was too scared. You were 19 years old. I should have been braver, should have fought back. But instead, I became her perfect daughter, did everything she asked, including finding Daniel. Did you love him? At all? She looked at me then, really looked at me. Yes. God help me. Yes. That's why I wrote you that letter, because I knew what was coming and I couldn't stop it. But I thought maybe you could. Maybe you'd see through it and protect him. Why didn't you just tell him the truth? Because my mother said if I didn't go through with it, she'd destroy me the same way she destroyed Melissa. She has files on me, documents I signed, things I did in previous relationships. She said she'd make sure I went to prison, that I'd lose everything, and I believed her. So you went along with it. I went along with it. Hated myself every day, but went along with it. We sat in silence for a moment. The coffee shop hummed with morning activity around us. Normal people living normal lives, unaware of the tragedy playing out at our corner table. "What happens now?" Cassandra asked. "That depends. Are you willing to testify against your mother? Tell the truth about her schemes, her control, everything she's done?" Cassandra's eyes went wide. "She'll destroy me." "She's already destroying you. You're 26 years old, Cassandra. How much longer are you going to let her control your life?" "I'm scared." "I know. But you wrote in that letter that you didn't know how to stop it. I'm telling you how. You stop it by telling the truth, by standing up, by being brave enough to break the cycle." "What if I can't? What if I'm too weak?" I reached across the table and took her hand. "Then we'll help you. Daniel's lawyers, our family, will protect you, but you have to take the first step." She was crying openly now, her whole body shaking. "I don't deserve your help." "No, you probably don't. But I'm offering it anyway. Not for you, for every other family your mother will target, for every other young woman she'll manipulate and control. Someone has to stop her, Cassandra. It might as well be you." She pulled her hand back, wiped her eyes. "I need to think about it." "Take your time, but not too much time. Your mother is already planning her next move. We found evidence she's in contact with another family, another young man with stable parents." Cassandra's head snapped up. "Who? Does it matter? It's going to keep happening unless someone stops her." She stood abruptly. "I have to go. I need to think." "Cassandra." She paused at the door. "Your sister tried to leave and it broke her. But you're stronger than you know. You can survive this. You can break free." She didn't respond, just walked out into the bright morning sun. I sat alone at the table, wondering if I'd done the right thing, if I'd pushed too hard, if she'd run straight back to her mother and tell her everything. But 3 days later, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Mrs. Hayes, this is Cassandra. Can we talk? I need to tell you something about my mother. You were right about everything. I'm ready to testify." I showed the text to Robert and Daniel. Daniel stared at it, his expression complicated. "Do you really think she's changed?" "I think she's scared and desperate and finally realizing she has a choice. Whether that's change or just survival, I don't know. But I do know she has information that can stop Veronica from hurting anyone else. So we help her. We help her." I texted back. "Come over tomorrow at 6. Bring everything you have. Documents, recordings, evidence. And Cassandra, bring the truth. All of it." That evening, I stood in my garden, the roses blooming around me, the evening air warm and still. In my pocket was the letter Cassandra had written months ago, the warning she'd tried to give me. Robert came out and stood beside me. "You okay?" "I'm thinking about gifts, about what we give each other, what we owe each other. And what do we owe Cassandra? The same thing we gave Daniel, the truth, and a chance to choose differently. Even after everything she did? Especially after everything she did, because that's what real love does, Robert. It tells the truth even when it hurts. It offers a hand even when it's not deserved. It gives people the chance to be better than they've been." He put his arm around me. "You're a better person than I am." "No, I'm just a mother. And mothers know that sometimes the hardest gift to give is forgiveness. Not because the person earned it, but because holding on to anger destroys us more than it hurts them." The next evening, Cassandra arrived at exactly 6 o'clock. This time, she brought a briefcase, sat at our dining table with Daniel across from her, the two of them not quite looking at each other. Janet and James were there too, ready to document everything. For 3 hours, Cassandra talked, told us everything, every scheme, every lie, every manipulation her mother had orchestrated over the years. She had names, dates, documentation. She had recorded conversations. She had evidence that could put Veronica away for decades. When she finished, the table was covered in papers, a roadmap of fraud and abuse spanning 20 years. "This is enough," James said quietly. "More than enough." Cassandra looked at Daniel. "I'm sorry. I know those words don't mean anything after what I did, but I am." Daniel was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I don't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I understand better now. And that's something." It was honest. It was real. And it was all she was going to get. She nodded, accepting it. "That's more than I deserve." 2 months later, Veronica Whitmore was arrested on multiple counts of fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy. The evidence Cassandra provided was damning. The trial was swift. Veronica was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. Cassandra entered therapy, started rebuilding her life. We helped her find a job, a real job, working for Patricia's wedding planning company. Not as a consultant, but as an assistant, learning the business honestly for the first time in her life. Daniel moved into his own apartment, started dating again, cautiously, went to therapy to work through the betrayal and manipulation. Some days were better than others. One Sunday evening, 6 months after everything fell apart, he came over for dinner. Just the three of us, like old times. As we cleared the dishes, he said, "Mom, I never thanked you properly." "For what?" "For the gift. The real one." "What do you think the real gift was?" He thought about it. The truth, but also the reminder that I have family who loves me enough to tell me hard things, who catches me when I fall, who helps me get back up. I pulled him into a hug. That's what family does, sweetheart. We show up. We tell the truth. We love even when it's hard. I hope I can be that kind of parent someday. You will be, because you've learned what matters, not the perfect wedding or the curated image, just love. Real, messy, honest love. As he left that night, I watched from the porch, watched his taillights disappear down the street, thought about everything we'd been through, the betrayal, the discovery, the confrontation, the resolution. And I realized something. The gift I'd given Daniel wasn't just truth or choice or even love, though it was all of those things. The gift was showing him that he was worth fighting for, worth protecting, worth telling hard truths to, even when it hurt, that he belonged. Not because of what he could give or what he looked like in photos or how well he fit an aesthetic, but because he was ours, and we were his. And sometimes that's the greatest gift of all, the reminder that you belong, exactly as you are, no conditions, no performance required, just love, simple, true, unbreakable. If this story resonated with you, if you believe in second chances and standing up for what's right, leave a like and let me know in the comments what you would have done in my situation. And subscribe, because sometimes the hardest battles are the ones fought within our own families. The truth